Hi everyone, I hope you're all doing well, and today we talk about Aston Martin stock and if it's a good time to go buy into Aston Martin stock. Now, I actually covered Aston Martin a couple of months ago. I think it was about 3-4 months ago, kind of like towards the peak of the COVID, when the stock market was dipping absolutely huge. And I actually think it became the actual number one like Aston Martin stock video on YouTube. So I felt like it's been well received, and I've had a lot of you guys asking me to do an update into Aston Martin and if my thoughts have changed with this company at all. So I'll kind of go through Aston Martin stock and my thoughts on the company right now. And as I get stuck into the stock, guys, all I ask you to do for all this information for free is just smash that like button, and that'll be absolutely amazing. Hopefully we can get this video up to the number one spot on Aston Martin on about the stock on YouTube. So we'll get stuck into the stock right now. So obviously Aston Martin, I'm a big fan of the cars. I think they're really fantastic cars. Very good looking cars as well. It's one of those cars that I think is on your list of cars that you'd probably want to own if you manage to get rich. Certainly for me, I definitely wouldn't mind having an Aston Martin. But yeah, as a company, I'm a big fan of the cars and I think they're absolutely fantastic. But obviously we can't just invest into it because you like the cars. You know, it has to be a strong fundamental company from to be investing for the share price to go up. So the stock at the moment is trading at 71p, which is very cheap, and I think that's where the kind of excitement comes from. Is there's a few things going on in the company, but as well as that is obviously the stock being absolutely sold off at 71p, and compared to where it IPO not so long ago, and the stock is down 68% from its 52-week high. So we are talking about a company that has sold off absolutely huge. Now, in the short term, from these sort of prices, the stock could pretty much go anywhere. It's like, if you go get a coin and flip it, I couldn't tell you, and same for this one. In the short term, I couldn't tell you where the stock exactly goes, if it goes up or if it goes down. What I'm kind of saying from here is Aston Martin a good investment for a 2 to 5 year hold, and that's where the point of view that I'm coming from today. So that's something just to bear in mind, because when a company has sold off this much, it does have the potential to be quite volatile and suddenly move up and suddenly move down. So I can't predict their movements, but I am predicting from a 2 to 5 year outlook for this company. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to actually go through the bear case of the company, and then I'll go through the bull case of the company and things why people are getting excited about this company right now. So first of all is the history of Aston Martin. Now, if you look into the past history of the company, and you can see on the financial side as well, the company is pretty awful. The company, I think, has gone bankrupt 7 times, and it was actually on the verge of going bankrupt this year until it got a cash injection from Stroll, and he pretty much managed to save the company. But yeah, from a history point of view, the company hasn't done fantastic. So there needs to be something turned around in this company for it to become successful. And obviously, even up to the recent quarter, it was a bad quarter with people losing jobs as well. So from a historical point of view, it's kind of a red flag that we're invested into a company that has struggled to make profit and has gone bankrupt and was on the verge of going bankrupt not so long ago. So that's a red flag already. We're not talking about a company that was successful going into COVID, something like Cineworld that has massively sold off, that sure, it has a bad balance sheet, but we're talking about a successful company before COVID. When we talk about Aston Martin and before COVID, it was a company in a pretty bad position. So that's always a worrying flag. We're talking about a company that is needing a big turnaround here, not something that's just managing to get through the current situation in the world. And then when we look into the balance sheet, and the balance sheet is pretty horrid. There's a bit of cash on there, there's quite a lot of debt on there, and obviously the worrying thing is that if Aston Martin really want to turn this company around and make that profitability is where they need to go. Obviously, until it gets to the point where it does make profitability, the balance sheet is in a horrible position where they don't have a lot of cash, they've got a lot of debt to pay off, a lot of expensive loans. I think one of the loans they currently have is at like a 12% interest rate, which is very, very expensive. So at the moment, the balance sheet isn't amazing. Sure, they've got a good cash injection seen through for a while, but if the company carries on being unprofitable like it has been, then obviously the company is going to be in a bad position where it will need to raise cash again or probably go bankrupt for the 8th time. So from a balance sheet point of view, it isn't great, but hey, let's see if they can turn it around 8 times trying and all that. So we'll see what happens there. And when we look into the past models, like I say, I'm a big fan of the cars. I think they're fantastic cars, but when you look at everything the company's done previously, this company's not been successful. And if you carry on doing the same thing, you're still not going to be a successful company. I think I saw a quote once from Albert Einstein, who said the meaning of insanity is by doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. So if Aston Martin carry on just, selling out the DBXs, the Vanquishes, the company is, sure, they're great on the eye, but from a company's point of view, it's just going to see them go bankrupt. And if they just carry on making new models of them cars, the company's just going to carry on repeating the same thing and going in the same direction. Now, we are going to be talking about the DBX later on, which is kind of one of the changes in direction, but they have to move away from those models, unfortunately, because it's not giving them success. So that's something to be really careful of. Another thing as well is that this company is nowhere near going to electric vehicles. Now, I think one of the big buzzes in the next, even now to 2 to 5 years down the line is that we'll see a lot of development of electric vehicles. They obviously have the DBX coming into this area in a little bit, which we'll talk about with the DBX, but you look at some other kind of competitors and they'll be moving towards the electric side very soon. Something like Aston Martin, I think only on the last annual report said that it's pretty much scrapped a lot of its electric development for another 5 years. Now in 5 years, I'll tell you something, a lot of if the car manufacturers aren't in the electric game in 5 years time, they're going to be absolutely buggered, because a lot of people will be moving to electric cars. I don't know about you guys, but just driving around, I see more and more Tesla cars every day. Like only 2 years ago, I would probably see one every kind of couple of weeks. And I don't know about you guys, but at the moment, I see a lot of Tesla cars nearly, 3, 4, 5 times a day now. So they are getting a lot more common. And I think if you want to be in the next coming industry, is you've got to develop that electric side. And at the moment, Aston Martin are very far off that at the development stage and delaying it even longer, which is kind of worrying from my point of view. Now, this is the bull case on Aston Martin, and it is that, first of all, when we look at the stock chart, the company is massively sold off. There's only a point where you have investors that are, you think about all the people that are down on the positions. Eventually you're going to run out of sellers, and when you run out of sellers, you'll pretty much hit a flat line on the stock chart, and pretty much you'll have a lot of hardcore holders there that won't sell. And you think about how much that stock has sold off now, we're kind of getting to them hardcore holders where they won't be willing to sell off the position. So when you start looking at the stock chart and you think how cheap it is it probably worth a punt from here? And that's something you've got to consider. Now, I'll kind of give my opinion towards the end, but when you look at the stock chart, it is in a tempting position when you do look at what's happened. But the thing you got to be careful of is, you got to make sure that you're buying a fantastic company for a cheap price, not a bad company at cheap prices. And that's what you've always got to be looking out for. Now, the second thing is the management change. Now, I did originally, when I made my last video, is management was on the bear point, because I thought management were horrible. But I think someone from Aston Martin actually watched my video last time and thought, oh, that's actually true, we should probably change the management because they're doing such a bad job when you look at what's happened with the company over the last few years. And yeah, they got rid of Andy Palmer as a CEO. He was behind the DBX, which is kind of what the company's kind of banking on being successful. So kind of everything that he did put in is still going ahead, but they have got rid of all the management. They've brought a lot of management in now. Obviously, Lawrence Stroll's pretty much taken control of the company with his big major investment. He's brought a new CEO in from Mercedes, AMG. I know Toto Wolff's also come in here. So there's a lot of investment, a lot of management team coming on here. A few of them connections from Mercedes getting a little bit tighter, which is also really interesting, and we'll see how that develops. But yeah, the management change is good because it was needed. But I can't say it's amazing at the moment, because you need to, they might bring management in, but they might be even worse. So you got to be a little bit careful of that. But I'd say it probably can't be much worse than what they had previously. So, a lot of these guys are coming in from a lot of successful companies. So hopefully they're able to kind of turn it around into Aston Martin now. So I think the management change was well needed, and I think some of the appointments as well have been very good. I think they also got the new CFO from Jaguar Land Rover as well. So yeah, there's a big new management team in there, which hopefully can make some changes at the moment. And then we've got the DBX, which is kind of, I said previously, Aston Martin are in a position where they can't carry on pushing out these old models because, clearly they haven't been successful, and they've kind of moved into the big 4x4 kind of industry now. And it was needed. It's a big, massive industry that Aston Martin could do very well in. And the DBX seems to be getting a lot of decent reviews. It's had a lot of good pre-orders. I think they've got about 2,000 pre-orders right now, which should see them through for quite a while and bring in a lot of good money. And it depends where it's able to extend them DBX orders from this year, and if it can bring more in. So we'll see what happens with the DBX, but everything there seems positive. I'd just be kind of wary that it's only one product, and they're probably going to need a lot more than just the DBX to kind of turn this company around from here, because we don't want to be just investing in one company and one product, and that product might do okay, but if we buy into this company, when we take all this risk on, we don't want to be buying a company that is only going to be making 50k profit and only increasing its revenue by 1 or 2%. We want to see big massive growth or returns for our risk that we're taking on. So that's something just to be a little bit careful of. Next up is the F1. So obviously Aston Martin are going to be entering an F1 team, and hopefully this can bring in a bit more revenue. Hopefully it can help like the brand as well. And I think this is probably a good move. I think hopefully that fans will be back by the time that Aston Martin are in the next season. So we'll see what happens. I think Sebastian Vettel is also one of the drivers. I'll have to check that. That's just kind of come off. I think I was watching F1 the other weekend, and I think it said that actually Sebastian Vettel was going to Aston Martin Racing Team. If not, it might be wrong, so just check that. That needs fact checking. But yeah, so it seems like if they do have Sebastian Vettel, then that's a pretty good driver to get in, because obviously he'll have a little bit of following as well. So yeah, I think the F1 could be a major thing for them. But like I say, I don't think it'll totally change it, but I think it's a good move to move into that sort of industry. And also we've got the potential of the James Bond movie, but same again, yeah, it might help sales a little bit, but there's been another 48 James Bond movies previously, so that didn't help sales before, so I don't see it helping sales again, to be fair, even though it's a cool tie into the company. But like I say, I won't bank too much on it. So overall, what's my thoughts with Aston Martin stock? I think that at the moment it is at an interesting point, and we'll see how management are able to turn it around. I also think the F1 team and the DBX is a good move from them, but there's a lot to go on here when you look at the risk and the balance sheet and how much needs to get turned around in this company, and how much the company is predicted to be unprofitable for a very long time, and how that eats into the balance sheet. And I can see the share price being attractive, but there's a lot of risk here. And the company's, we're not talking about a company that went into COVID in a good position. It went into COVID in an unhealthy position, which is really risky. So from my point of view at the moment, when I look at the company, it is at an interesting point, but there's a lot of risk here and a lot of needs to get turned around in this company before, in my opinion, it becomes investable. And when you look at the share price and how much that company is sold off, I think you could afford, even if you miss out on the share price going up, maybe double than what it is right now, it's better doing that than taking a lot of risk on with this company and then wait and see if they turn it around and then buying into the company. I think there's a lot of risk. I think from what I've seen in this company, I think there's a 25% that they're able to turn it around. And when you talk about that, we're getting into gambling here, and you might as well go down to the casino and gamble it away, and then you don't have to wait two years to see your result. So from my point of view is that just play it safe, see what happens with the company, put it on your watch list and see if they turn it around from here. But from my point of view at the moment, Aston Martin needs to just get a little bit more closer to profitability and see where the company goes with a lot of these sales and products and the new management team take effect for it to come and buy at the moment. So that's my opinion on Aston Martin. I definitely won't be buying it anytime soon. So that's the video for today, guys. As always, if you can smash that like button, that'd be absolutely amazing. Subscribe if you're new around here, and I'll see you in the next video.